What what was the process like for you of getting into the single family flipping world?
It was really hard. I'm not going to lie.
Hmm.
Having no construction background, like I was literally walking into this blind.
Hmm.
But in a ways, it was really good because I didn't have any expectations. I was like, I'm going to fail miserably, or it's in my hands to like really, take what I can get and do something out of it. So what I think that helped me the most was really networking, researching, listening to podcasts like this one, reading a lot of books, really immersing myself. So when I first started my company, I still had my corporate job. I still worked 9 to 5. And soon I realized that that was going to be really tough if I wanted to take this seriously, because most people could only, were available at the same time that I worked. And so, which is why I just like quit my job and, jumped in with both feet. And then when I started networking, like someone introduced me to someone else, you know how it spreads.
Hmm.
And I just put on in the world out there that I was looking for a property to flip. Now, the first property that I ever flipped, I can't say that it was successful in
Hmm.
terms that I made any money. So there was no financial gain, there was a loss. But I mean, the experience that I got out of that, like that just gave me an ego boost and a confidence boost to go do more properties. So, it was challenging at first. But then once I got 2 or 3 deals under my belt, I think, I was like, yeah, I got this. This is what I want to do. This is exciting. Every house teaches you something new about yourself and about the process. So eventually, I mean, now after doing that many deals, I can say that, it does get easier. So stick with it.
I,
So
I
go ahead.
I was gonna say Chris probably knows what I'm gonna say, but that first deal where maybe there was no financial gain and a potential loss, I tell people all the time, I never recommend people quit their job. I never recommend people pay for coaching or mentoring or any of that. I never say to do that. I don't say it's bad, but I'm not one that throws my hand up and says you have to do it this way. I recommend buy it, fuck it up, lose some money, make some money. But what you're gonna learn from that experience is that you might get a black eye, but it's gonna heal. But you're gonna learn how to close a deal, how to go through the title process, if you need an attorney, how much a sync cost. You're going to go through the education, and
Right.
that was deal 1. Now you're deal 40 plus, and you're here, you're living, it didn't ruin you right now. Yeah, if you go out and buy a $2 million property and mess it up and lose $1 million, I'm not speaking that language. But if you go buy a single family house in an area that you want to flip and you have no idea what you're doing, you can get through it. You have to persevere. You have to change some things and make some decisions. But I bet
Right.
a million out of a million times that deal, losing some money or whatever happened, you probably learned more from that than from any other deal you've done since, because that was when you put the money on, your money where your mouth is. And that's what probably gave you the best education and the best, that level of fear is now gone. It's like, oh, I've done this, right? How much worse can this get? And it gets worse, but you've done it. So you've taken the biggest hurdle, which I was having this conversation yesterday. 9.5 out of 10 people are going to say they're going to do it, and they never are.
And they never do it.
They never do it. That's why there's so much competition in this space. But is there really competition of execution? And that's where you set yourself apart. So you should pat yourself on the back there. And I said all the time, go out and mess it up, and you're going to learn more from that than you would have if you would have done it 100% perfectly.
Right. Couldn't agree more.
So talk to me a little bit about the process of quitting your job and doing your first deal, because I think a lot of people eventually get to that step of wanting to stop working and replace it either with active investing like flipping, or passive investing like rental, or passive investing in general in other people's properties. I mean, you did it before you even offset it or started to offset it. But how did you do that? How did you set it up? What was your mindset? Because a lot of people are afraid to take that step. What was you that it was just,
Yeah. I think one thing to really understand is for yourself, what is your financial stamina? Like how much money are you okay losing before you start to really make money, right? For me, it could be 20 grand. For someone else, it could be 5 grand. For someone else, it could be 100 grand. So as long as you know that, and you know, okay, if I really screw things up and this is all that I'm going to lose, and I'm okay with that, then you're just more inclined to take that first step. For me, I've just always been of the mindset that I am not a quitter. I am not, I cannot give myself into failure. And that just makes me hustle. I could have easily lost 100 grand on that first deal, but I only lost 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, if I can, turn a bad loss into an okay loss, much more manageable, digestible loss, then I can do great things, because now I have knowledge, and knowledge is power. So like going in from corporate to, actually doing something super entrepreneurial, I think that is the bigger challenge. What you do after that is, it's just a little step along the way. So for me, I was about, okay, I have this super safe, secure environment that if tomorrow I fell sick, I'm still going to get paid. There's a path to follow that others have created for me. There's a team that helps me achieve those goals every day. There's someone that sets the goals. I'm going to throw all that away, and then I'm going to go and figure that all out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the path is. I don't know what my goals are, because I don't know what my successes look like. And then there's this process that I have no idea about, that I have to literally create along the way. I learn, I fail, I succeed, rinse, repeat. What does that look like, right? I have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. So I think those different steps were much harder to kind of put together than doing my first deal, or finding my next deal, or quitting my job, because I knew that, if I quit my job, I was going to burn the boats. I have to do something amazing, because otherwise I would have to go back to my corporate job, and there's no fun in that. Right. So I was not going to let anything get in the way of that.
Yeah.
I think that piece is important to have, right? Because it's the fear of having to go back to what you didn't like, or fear of, not maybe you didn't like it, but that fear is that's that motivating factor. And I think everybody has to have some reason why they want to do it, because if they don't, it's very easy to not do. So
Right.
Knowing you don't want to go that route, makes going down that path that's uncharted, untouched, a lot, more fun, because it's like, hey, listen, if I fail, it's not going to happen, because I don't want to go that way. And the other thing is that that's going to be there for you a year from now, 5 years from now, or whatever.
Exactly.
So if it went to hell in a handbasket, you could always pick up the pieces on the other side, which is a good backstop or backup option.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think when I hear a lot of people talk about leaving their job and going full time, it's always from a place of defense, and the what ifs are always very negative. And it's very interesting when you talk, the what ifs are more positive, or just the negative what ifs are just kind of matter of fact, and it doesn't matter. And the mind's just the way you're talking about is very different, because it wasn't even overcoming that. It almost sounds like it wasn't even really an issue for you, which is kind of interesting for me.
Yeah. I was definitely optimistic about what I was going to do. Like John mentioned, it was just simple. It was easy to take that. Like for me, it was like, if I didn't do this now, I don't want to look back in 5 years and been like, man, I wish I'd done that. That was the right opportunity, or the market was insane. And like, I just didn't want to, I hate living life in regrets. So for me, it was about, just taking that plunge and saying, fuck it. Like if I don't do it, if I don't, if I fail miserably, then I can go back and I'll still have a job, So yeah, it was all about, and then once you actually take that step, it's like so exhilarating, and now you have to make it work. And, there's a learning curve. I love learning curves. I think, that's what everybody should strive for. Like I'm at a point in my career now that I'm like, man, fix and flip is so easy. I'm so good at it. I'm a real estate broker too. And I love listing property. I love negotiating deals. But now I'm like, okay, now I want to take down like a massive 100-unit apartment complex or a self-storage facility. Like, what does that look like? It's a huge learning curve. Like, I'm already beginning to study and immerse myself in that. And I'm like, man, like, this is exciting. I'm super excited just for the next phase of all of this,
Mhm.
It's about constantly building on what you know and growing from there.